weirdos, my name's Felicia and I like scary movies, and if you want to know how far I am into this quarantine, you can just look at my hair. I am doing a new style that is very 90s inspired because I have a little more time on my hands these days. I hope all of you out there are staying safe. I hope you are social distancing and trying to slow down the spread of this. I do live in New York, which right now has the highest amount of cases of coronavirus, which is what I'm talking about if you're watching this in the future and it was unclear. I'm trying to keep you guys a bit more updated about New York City coronavirus situation in my Patreon vlogs. So if you want to check those out, those are down below in the description. But today we are doing a Patreon requested review and one I'm very, very excited about. So first of all, this came from Sarah, aka Sky Angel. She is a dear internet friend and a huge part of Horror Movie Club. So thank you so much, Sarah, for requesting this. And it is The Wailing from 2016. This movie has been on my list, on my to-watch list for so long, and I don't know why I've never gotten to it, but today I did remember why when I went to watch it and I said, ooh, 2.5 hours. And I need to stop doing that because I feel that way with everything, even theater, everything. Whenever I see like a short runtime, I'm like, ooh, short runtime, all right. And whenever I see a really long runtime, I'm like, whew. But then I was like, Felicia, you're literally quarantined. You have 2.5 hours to check out this Korean horror film that everybody freaking loves. So I was ready for it. I sat down, I watched it, and guess what? I too loved it. It was awesome. I think this was on one of Ari Aster's like top lists, or it was like one of his top films of the last decade or something like that. And I can totally see why. I could feel some similar aesthetic and tone choices going on. But let's go ahead and get into it. So The Wailing 2016, it was written and directed by Hong Jin-na, who also wrote and directed The Chaser and The Yellow Sea. He hasn't put out anything since this movie, but there was a pretty sizable gap between The Yellow Sea and The Wailing. That was 6 years. So I hope he's working on something else. I don't know what it is. But I have faith because he is a fantastic director. Now, for a couple of cast members for you, I think the most famous person I would think is Jun Konimari. He was in Kill Bill, Each of the Killer, Audition. Those are like the big ones that are most famous in the US, I would say. And then we have Do Won Kwak, who plays Jong-gu, Woo Hee-chan, who plays the mysterious woman, Hwan Hee-kim, who plays Hoijin. I'm not sure if I said that right. I'm not sure if I said any of that right. But this movie is basically about a stranger comes to town, which is also funny because why am I mentioning this so much on my channel? But I'm watching The Outsider right now on HBO, and that's also about a stranger comes to town. But a stranger comes to town, and basically there is what in a lot of descriptions I see as called a mysterious illness, but it basically causes people in this town to get these like strange like skin infection situation, seemingly become possessed and kill their entire families. Not good, not good. But the plot mainly focuses on Jong-gu, who's a police officer. He's trying to investigate what's going on in this town and also trying to protect his daughter, who seems to become a target of this supernatural entity demon situation. And it's funny because it did take me like a minute to settle into this movie. I would say the first half hour, I was kind of like, where are we going and how is this gonna last this long? Which I know is like kind of rude, but also I'm feeling that way with all content this week. I don't know if anyone else is experiencing this during their self-quarantine, but I feel like even though I have so much more time, my attention span is really bad right now. I cannot stop looking at social media, which I'm trying to limit myself on because the first few days I feel like I was just making myself crazy looking at Twitter and Facebook and news articles and blah, blah, blah. So highly recommend, now more than ever, limiting screen time. But I feel like everything I've watched this week, I'm like watching it and then I'm checking my phone and I'm watching it and I'm checking my phone. And I feel like I'm so distracted with like this bubbling anxiety of the end of the world. Anyone else relate to that? Anyone? But anyway, so the first, I'm just gonna ramble. This is a Patreon review, which I feel like I always feel a little more like casual chit-chatty in. I don't know why that is. It's also midnight right now. What? Also, my sleep schedule is very confused. Is anyone else like this? I'm going to sleep so late at night, so much later than I typically would, and still getting up at the same time. It's all crazy. Okay, so first 30 minutes. I'm watching this movie. I'm trying to understand where it's going. There's a lot of comedy in the first section of the movie, which I was grateful for, because I was like, okay, like this is kind of a fun horror movie. It's got some good jokes, got some funnies. And then eventually it like settles in on this like impending doom, and then you spend like 2 hours in this like sort of in this like mystery crime horror movie, because we're following this police officer trying to figure out like what the heck is going on, and at the same time his daughter is like becoming more and more seemingly possessed. And I don't know, it's really good. I guess I'll just say some things I liked about the movie. First of all, I thought the acting was superb. Some of my favorite acting, I will say one of my favorite child performances of all time. And once again, that was Hwan Hee Kim, who played Hyojin, the daughter who becomes possessed. I mean, she has to do some wild things in this movie. And not even just like the parts where there's like a big exorcism scene and things like that. It's not even just those moments. Just throughout the whole movie, I'm just like, I think she's such an amazing actress. And the same with Do-won Kwak, who plays our leading police officer, Jong-gu. He is like, he starts this movie off and he's sort of this like, almost like dopey police officer. He seems like a little like naive and like he's not like the strongest or the toughest or the smartest. He's just like kind of there, you know? Which is rude. But throughout this movie, he has like become the hero of his own story. And I just really loved his journey specifically. Oh no, there's something in my eye. What is that? What is that? I've worn makeup in some days now, and now my eyes are like, what? Okay, there was a fuzzy in my eye. A fuzzy in my eye. So that's happening. But yes. Where was I? Acting. Super great. Ooh, something else I found really fun was to see how a different culture would sort of stage an exorcism, because I feel like exorcisms in American film and TV is so based in Christianity and Catholicism. So to see this sort of different version of it was very, very fascinating. And even in this movie, we do have like I guess a Catholic priest. He's wearing like something that makes him look like a Catholic priest. But he's not the one performing the exorcism. They call in this shaman, who is played by Jung-min Hwang, who's also great, by the way. Everyone in this cast is just excellent. But he plays this shaman character that comes and does all this really interesting exorcism that is nothing like I've ever seen before. There's everything in there from like dancing to fire to animal sacrifice to all this stuff that's trying to like free this little girl. And that whole section, because not only do we have like this exorcism going on, but we sort of have this like counter hex going on from the demon that has come to town. And all of this whole sequence together between those two things and the little girl in the bedroom like going through it was one of the like craziest things I've seen in a while. Just that entire sequence, it goes on for a very long time. And I was like, by the end, I was like shaken by it, which was cool to see. I don't know. I was very affected by that whole exorcism scene. You know, I'm thinking again right now about Ari Aster and the fact that him saying that this is his favorite movie of the last decade makes so much sense to me, because this is a horror movie that is obviously a slow burn, is atmospheric but still like very plot driven. It's very beautiful, and but also like relies on like the breakdown of people for the fear aspect of the movie versus like jump scares and like scary imagery. Like we do have some like demonic and dead people and like blood, and we have some of those things in the movie, but what's much scarier is like the effect all of this causes on this one family, and like the anguish of the family and what they have to go through throughout this movie brings up so much more fear than seeing like some dead bodies. And I feel like that's a very like also like Ari Aster thing, just this like sense of like anguish and doom going on. And I feel like I can like sort of see those parallels happening in this movie. I also thought it was Very beautifully shot. The cinematographer, oh, awesome. Okay, so the cinematographer is Kyung Pyo Hong. Once again, doing my bestest. Also guys, my camera is doing this weird thing where it's making, the light is changing a lot, and I don't know why or what to do about it. But the cinematographer for this was Kyung Pyo Hong, who was also the cinematographer for Parasite. So that's very cool. And Snowpiercer. Wow, this guy has done it all. It's very impressive. It's a very impressive resume. But yeah, I don't really have any negatives about this movie. I guess the only thing is the length is a little bit much. Like I do wonder if it could have been half an hour shorter, but maybe it couldn't have. I don't know. But I really was, oh my God, like the last hour, I was like fully in it. I was so in awe of what was going on, and I was just like, I was very invested. So yeah, I really liked it. Thank you so much to Sarah for recommending me to watch this. Once again, it's been on my list for so long. There's a few Korean horror films that have been on my list for a while, and this really inspired me to check more of them out. I'd also love recommendations from you guys. If you have some favorite Korean horror films that you'd like to recommend me, put them down in the comments. But yes, and also let me know how you're doing. I think sometime this weekend or maybe on Monday, I don't know yet, Laura and I are going to do another live stream. We'll of course have Horror Movie Club on Tuesday night. We'll be talking about The Fly this week. So I want to make sure that we all stay connected, keep talking to each other, because I was about to say we're all in this together, and then I realized my musical theater side was coming out, and this channel I don't think is the place for it. But maybe it is, I don't know. Not that I was ever a High School Musical fan. That was a little, that's a little younger than my generation, I'll say. Or maybe, though there were people that I grew up with that I think did like it, but I was a little too old for the High School Musical. I was much more interested in Rent. Why are we talking about musicals? Why am I rambling at midnight into this camera? Thankfully, somebody will see it, so you will see it, and we can talk about it later when I'm less weird. But thank you all so much. Once again, stay in your houses. I know the impending lockdown is probs coming. It just, there's a shelter, what's it called? Shelter in place. There's a shelter in place already over California. I'm sure it will be in New York soon. And once again, if you want to see more about that, my daily life, that's in the Patreon vlogs down in the description. But that's it, people. I will see you in my next video. I'm going to be putting out a lot more videos this coming week and weekend because we got the time, y'all. We got the time. If you have requests, now is the time to get them in. Let me know in the comments. Let me know on Twitter. Whatever. I will see you in my next video. Have a nice scream. Bye.